Before I move into the topics, a little bit I will tell you about the history of C++. Okay, because we should know from which language C++ language is derived. Okay, so which was the first language and all. When if we consider the history of computers, so it started from 18th century itself. Okay, so in 1770s and all it started. So first computer was, I think you people know, so it is called as abacus. Abacus was the first computer. Okay. If I want to tell you about this computer in brief, it's like I think you people might have used this, and even we also. So when we were studying in nursery, we used to use slate. On one side we will write, on another side like marbles will be there. Okay, so those type of things. That means in that type it was there abacus. Okay, it was used only for addition purpose, addition and all. Okay, later on it developed like from abacus to analytical machine, difference engine, like that. Many people developed the systems. So finally, in 20th century, that is during 1940s or 1950s, like first electronic machine was developed by the company IBM. Okay, first electronic machine. Electronic machine in the sense like which is made up of electrical and electronic components. So we can say electronically developed computer. Okay, so till 1950s, like 1940s and 1950s, computers were there, but not fully electronic. Okay, so in 1940s and 50s, fully electronic computer has evolved. So in that time, what happened? Like who have developed the electronic machines, that is hardware system. So they just thought of as a software. So when we install software in the machine, then it starts working. You consider any machine, like in electrical devices, software is nothing but power supply, which we can't see. Okay, always software we cannot see. Software is nothing but power supply. Without power supply, none of the electrical devices will work, like fan, tube light and all. None of the electrical devices will work. Okay, even though you have designed in a nice way, okay, decorations and all you have done. So by looking at the outside, that is physical existence, if it is much beautiful also, but without power supply, electrical devices will not work. Okay, electrical devices will work only with power supply. So power supply, you can consider it as like a software. Similarly, when we consider the best example, if I can give, is human body. Without signals from the brain, okay, or without feelings of the heart, without thinking, so we cannot live also. Okay, if suppose if you say I'm not doing any work, simply I'm sitting, nobody will sit simply. One or the other thing they will be thinking. So that thinking is nothing but software. Okay, so beautiful it is actually. So it is God made. So computers are human made, right? So if you consider the human body, every part of the body is nothing but a hardware system. If you compare with computers, see in computer machine, keyboard, mouse, monitor, printer, whatever you consider, web camera, whatever you consider, those are all hardware only. Even CPU, central processing unit, in that processor will be there, motherboard will be there, RAM slot will be there, RAM chip will be there, all hardware things only. You cannot say those are softwares. Okay, whatever you see in computer system which has got physical existence, that means some shape. Okay, those are nothing but hardware systems, hardware devices. Software we cannot see. We cannot see in this sense. We can say written code. Say for example, if I write, so there is one code in C++, COUT means console output. I can see the software. So I have written the word. But you cannot say it has got some physical shape, one particular shape. If you see C, it is one shape, O is another shape, U is another shape. So you cannot say definite shape of the software. Okay, so you can say written code is there, but we will not put into the physical existence like real world object. Okay, so we can say software is something like which has got logical code, but it has not got any physical existence. We cannot touch and feel and all. Okay, whereas hardware systems has got a touch and feel effect. Okay, and it has got physical existence. Okay, so now when they developed electronically fully electronic machine, they thought of developing software, because without software machines will not work. As I said, without signals from the brain or without feelings of heart or without thinking, we will not live at all. Okay. Only thing what we can say is last stage, that is coma stage. The coma stage person will not think at all. Okay. Only breathing will be there. So you might have observed. So you put oxygen cylinder on top. So a person, even if he is not doing any work also, by sitting simply also, he will think something. Okay. So that is nothing but software. Similarly, when we consider electronic machine, mobile, if you consider mobile also, software should be there. So when we consider the software, what is software? Software is nothing but the set of programs. Software is a set of programs. So what we have to do with these programs? When we do, first of all, programs is a set of instructions. Software is a set of programs. Programs are the set of instructions. One instruction is nothing but one task. If you are giving one instruction for the computer, you are telling computer to do some work. Okay, if we don't give any instruction for the computer, computer will not do any work. See, if you consider basic level technology to high-end level technology, without the instruction of human beings, computers will not work. See, now I think you people know AI, artificial intelligence has come. Artificial intelligence, machine learning. This is the 5th generation of computers. From 1970 till future, it will be going on. Artificial intelligence, like they are inventing robots. Okay, what do we think? See, robots will work, and with high-end technology, robots will do some task. How they will do? They are not living beings. First of all, robots are not living beings. They are non-living beings only. But how they think and do? Because software is installed. Okay. Then who has developed software? We human beings. So always we have to think like technology is not great. We are great actually. Okay. We have made technology to work like that. We have made electronic machine to work like that. So if I make electronic machine to work, so what I have to do? I have to install software in that. That software is nothing but the set of programs. And one program contains many instructions. One instruction is nothing but what we are giving to the electronic machine to do work. Okay. So when they thought of this software, so they have to communicate with the computer. So to communicate with the computer, we have to develop software. To develop software, we need the language called as programming language. Okay, we need language called as programming language. So programming language is nothing but the language which is used to communicate with the electronic machine such as computer. Okay. So now before C++ has derived, okay. So we can think, see, there are many languages starting from binary language, assembly language, there are many languages. So I will not tell all in that, only which is related to C++, I will tell you. Before C++, okay, yes, C language, before C language, there was one more language called as BCPL, okay, language called as BCPL. So if anybody has idea about this BCPL, can tell the abbreviation of that, of this. So one person answered C language. So if you have idea about this BCPL, you can answer the like abbreviation or definition. Okay, fine. So this language is called as Basic Combined Programming Language. Basic Combined Programming Language. BCPL is called as Basic Combined Programming Language. Programming languages. Okay. Fine. After this language is developed, see, whenever something we develop, we invent, what we do, we will not sit simply. But scientists also. See, one person invented electric bulb. After that, another person invented tube light. After that, LCD tube light, LED tube light. Okay, we will not say, human beings will not sit simply. So after the development of BCPL, Basic Combined Programming Language, still they went in some more advanced. So they developed one more language. For that language, they kept the name as C. See, after B, the letter is C. So only they have kept the name as C language. Okay. See, actually, when we learn C++, by learning C language only, we have to learn. But for your syllabus, for first PUC, they have kept directly C++. You people don't worry, we know how to teach. Because I know C, C++, Java, PHP, SQL, many languages I know. Okay. We know how to teach it. You don't worry. I know how to combine the C language concepts and to teach C++. So C language, actually before C++, C language is there. Okay, C language. After that, what happened? So when they again got improvement in the programming languages, they developed one more language. Directly, they didn't call it as C++. Remember this concept. Directly, they didn't call it as C++. What happened is, for C language only, they added the concept called as classes. One concept is there. Actually, in second PUC, one chapter itself is there. Classes and objects chapter is there in second PUC, which is related to C++. They invented the concept called as classes. So this was invented by, okay, later I will tell you, classes. So when this concept is added to C language, for C language, classes concept is added. So that has become the new language that is called as C with classes. That is called as C with classes. Understood? For C language only concept they have kept, that is language is called as C with classes. Okay. So later it is renamed as C++. So actually correct reason they have not given about why they have added plus plus, but what I can say is like see what I can say is like whenever we add something, so generally we use plus symbol, right? Okay. So only they have said C++. And we may get a question like, simply they have renamed as C++. Why? Two symbols, plus, plus, plus. Just as per my opinion, I am telling, in C++ language, in C and C++ language, we have one operator called as plus, plus. Then I write, when I combine two plus symbols, that one functionality is there. Okay, when I combine two plus symbols, one functionality is there. If you write only one plus symbol, one functionality is there. See, for one operator, there may be two different tasks. So I will tell you, when we come across this chapter, I will tell you. So one operator is called as plus plus. It is called increment operator. This is addition operator. If you use only one plus symbol, it is addition operator. This is increment operator. Two plus symbols continuously without space. If you use increment operator. Maybe they have kept this operator for C++. Okay. So for C language, they have added the concept called as classes. So it is called as C with classes. Okay. And later it is renamed as C++. So instead of calling C with classes every time, so if I call C++, it's better, I think. Okay. So it is called as C++. So this was invented by, this C language was invented by, initially it was invented by the person named called as V. Jarney Stoustrup. See, actually these are the names of the foreigners. So just we have to pronounce it. Okay. B. Jarney. B. J-A-R-N-E. So today I will send the notes also. Okay. History of C++. You can go through. So B. J-A-R-N-E. S-T-R-O-U-S-T-R-U-P. B. J-A-R-N-E. S-T-R-O-U-S-T-R-U-P. B. Jarney Stoustrup. Okay. So in entire history of C++, you will get one more question, not 5 more questions. They will not say explain the history of C++. Till now, they have not asked. But you just remember all the things, whatever I sent in the notes, you just remember. If they ask in 5 more also, you can answer it. It's not a problem. But till now, they have not asked 5 more questions like explain history of C++. Who invented C++? When it is invented, like that, they can ask it. Okay. So B. Jarney Stoustrup. So this person invented C with classes and it is renamed as C++. Okay. In early 1970s, actually C language has come. In 1980s, C++ has come. Okay. In 1970s, C language. 1980s, C++. Okay. So this is about history of C++. After this person has invented C++, that is C with classes, they have formed one committee. That the members in the committee, what they have done is just they started adding new features to the same language. They have not developed any new language yet. Same language for C++ only. They started adding new features. Okay. So finally, in I think in 1993 or somewhere around. Okay. So anyways, I will send the notes regarding the year and all. Finally, they have called it as standard C++. This one is standard C++. What we are using now, standard C++. Okay. So this is about history. About exact year and all, I will send in the notes. So don't worry. Okay. Okay, once again I will tell you in brief. So in 1940s or 50s, fully electronic computer has evolved, that is developed by the human beings. So after that, they thought of a software to install in the electronic machine. So whenever we consider the software, 100% we have to develop programming languages, because regional languages will not use to communicate with the electronic machines, because electronic machines understands only one language, that is binary language, 0 and 1. So what we have to do, we have to use languages such as English to develop the programming languages, so that we can communicate with the electronic machine. So first language which was developed is, I cannot call it as first language, before also it was there, but before C++, before C language, BCPA we can consider, basic combined programming language. So after they have invented one more language, so for that language they kept the letter C, because after B, this the letter is C language, and for C language they have added the concept called as classes. So it is initially called as C with classes. Later it is renamed as C++. And the person who developed for the first time C++ is B. Ernest Rutherford. Later committee is formed. In committee there are other names also. Just they were adding new features. See, till now, whatever the languages are there, they will be adding new features. Okay, that means it is like a ocean. We cannot say I can learn C++ in 1 month or 2 months or 1 year or 2 years. If you learn lifetime also, it will be not complete. Okay, how much it is required for academics, how much it is required for job, that purpose we will learn. Okay, I cannot say today I will start exactly. The date is today, August 2nd. Okay, so next year August 2nd I will complete C++ completely. No, it is not at all possible. Okay, 24/7 if you sit also, it is not possible, because it's like, see, the person who invented C language only, he has called it as like C is like a C. Dennis Ritchie called C language as, he only has said C is like a C, SCA. So from C, how much water we can take? Just to imagine. So how many times you take also, it will be not complete. So only, instead of thinking like we can learn complete C language or C++ or Java, how much it is required for syllabus, knowledge purpose, job purpose, we are going to learn. But we should not stop. That's it. Okay. If you're really interested in learning software, you should not stop. You should keep on learning. And one more thing is, even commerce students can also become software engineers. It's not like you have to do engineering only. Okay. One thing what you have to do is, in every year, if you keep on learning programming languages, like after C++, you go for C language. After C language, you go for Java language. Next, HTML, SQL. Like that, if you keep on learning, then you can become the software engineer. Like if you opt the course BCom or BBM, that doesn't matter at all, because I think in one class I said that to become software engineer, one need not know any of these subjects. That is accountancy, economics, business studies, physics, chemistry, mathematics, languages, nothing. Only if he knows English, okay, then he can become software engineer. Little bit logical thinking. Logical thinking is very, very important. Okay, if I don't remember the mathematics formula, or if I don't remember the physics concepts or accountancy concepts, it's okay. It's not a problem. If you are good at logical thinking, then 100% you can become software engineer. Okay. I did not get you, Sanjana. What is that? Sorry. Who is it? Chinmay.
Sir, we should you
See,
send the
actually,
notes.
I sent full chapter notes. In that, there is a table called as ASCII. 1 minute. So there is a concept called as ASCII. Okay. ASCII. See, this is nothing but American Standard Code for Information Interchange. American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So the meaning of this is like whenever we press any key from the keyboard, for every key there is a code. Sorry, there is a value. For example, if I type capital letter A, for this ASCII value is 65 for capital letter A. For capital letter B, ASCII value is 66. For C, ASCII value is 67. So this goes till Z. And next, coming to the small letters. For small letter A, ASCII value is 97. For B, it is 98 in this way. And coming to the digits, for 0, it is 48. See, 0 is the value according to mathematics, but according to the computer science, it is a character. Okay. When we use as an integer, it becomes value. But generally, it is considered as character. 0 is one character. See, whatever key you press from the keyboard, it is nothing but a character. Either capital letters, small letter, digits, symbols. All are characters. So whenever I say character, for every character, there is a unique value. That value is called as ASCII value. Understood? For every character on the keyboard, there is a unique value. That value is called as ASCII value. Okay. So for A, 65, B, 66, C, 67, and small letter A, 97, B, 98. For 0, 48, 1, 49, like this. Okay. Good. And for others also, like for enter key, 13, or dollar, 32, like this is it. Okay. So this table is there in this chapter. You need not copy the table. Why? Because as per my knowledge, in exam they will not ask the what is the ASCII value of this particular key and all. This topic is required to understand the concept of character constant. So we were discussing constants in previous class. In constants, we have integer, floating point, character, right? So to understand the concept of character constant, we need this concept. That's all. But don't write this table. I think in notes you can notice this table is there. Okay, today only you see that. Okay, so that you will not waste time in writing that entire table. You can just read that table. Okay, you just try to understand. That's all. But don't write it. Okay. Only thing is, for some letters you look into the values, then you will come to know. You can understand. A 65, B 66, C 67, like small letters, digits, symbols. Okay, fine. If you have already, those who have already written, it's okay, not a problem. But the thing is, what I am supposed to tell is, like in the exam, they will not ask the table. So for knowledge purpose, if you have written, it's very good. It's not a problem. Those who have not written, not required to write. Okay. So about the abbreviation of ASCII, ASCII, you look into the notes, and also the values. You just look at the table. Randomly, you look. Okay, and try to get the things. Now we'll move to the constants topic. So in constants, we have discussed about numeric constant. In numeric, we have discussed about integer constant. In integer, decimal, octal, hexadecimal. Okay. Now we will move to the floating point constant. See, one more thing, what you can do is, whenever I am starting the new topic in the next class, you people can write the notes and keep ready, so that when you are looking at the video, beside you can keep the notes so that you can understand. Because if you start writing in the online class, it may take time. That time you will utilize in gaining knowledge. Okay, you just keep ready with the further topics. At least 2-3 topics you keep ready, so that you can keep the notes beside and you can listen. Okay. Very good. Fine. So floating point constant, the word floating point meaning, whenever we consider the number, in the number we will be having 3 parts: integer part, decimal point, fractional part. Integer part, decimal point, fractional part. For example, if I consider 5.23, so in this 5 is the integer part. After that, we have the decimal point. After that, we have the fractional part. So, when we ask the questions, many of the students, they will be telling, and even we have understood like that, which are the real numbers in, what is real number in mathematics, or what is floating point number in computer science means. They will tell decimal numbers. It is not decimal numbers. You should not say decimal numbers. Decimal numbers are again integers. Decimal integers we will call it as. It is not decimal numbers. Numbers which will be having integer part, decimal point, and fractional part. In that way, we have to tell. Real number is in mathematics or floating point number in computer science is nothing but the numbers which will be having integer part, decimal point, and a fractional part. That is called as floating point number. If it has got only integer part, then we should put in the category of integers, not in the category of floating point numbers. So these type of numbers are called as floating point numbers. Even if you write 5.00, this is also floating point number only, because integer part is there, decimal point is there, fractional part is there. Of course, the value is 5 only. 5.00 is nothing but 5 only. But we have to put in floating point category, floating point constant category. So these numbers can be without a sign, or with positive sign, or with a negative sign. So 5.23 plus 5.23 minus 5.23. That means floating point numbers can be positive or negative. Okay, if you write without sign, it is nothing but the positive only. And whenever you are saying, whenever you are considering floating point number, so we have to consider in two ways. That is in two forms. First one is fractional form. Okay, so it is called as fractional form. See, those who have written the notes, that is constants, that entire diagram in the previous class or in the home, you can keep that beside so that you can notice where that exact category will come. Okay, in floating point we have come across fractional form, and the second one is called as scientific notation. Scientific notation. This is also called as exponent form. This is also called as exponent form. I think letters are visible on the board. Anyways, I am repeating. Don't worry. Okay. So fractional form, first one. Second one is scientific notation, or it is also called as exponent form. So fractional form are the floating point numbers which will be in the form of these things. Okay. So this category of floating point numbers are nothing but fractional form. Okay, simple floating point number, simple real number. In mathematics, we come across, right, 2.5 to 3.25, 5.00, 0.5. These numbers comes under the category of fractional form. That means whenever you are considering floating point number, by default you are considering fractional form. Without fractional form, you cannot write a floating point number at all. Okay, so first category is fractional form. So fractional form of a floating point number is a number which contains integer part, fractional decimal point, and a fractional part. So it is an integer, sorry, it is a number which contains integer part, decimal point, and a fractional part. Okay. See, while I'm explaining, I may explain like randomly. That means if I am not framing the correct sentence, that's fine. While explaining, I see how you people can understand. But while writing the notes, you just neatly frame the notes. Okay, neatly frame the sentences. So whatever I have given the notes, in the same way you can write it. So that in the exam, if you write the answer, you can gain the marks. See, some students, what they will do, how we explain in that way only they are writing. See, spoken is different, written is different. In case of regional languages, spoken English is different, written English is different. Spoken Kannada is different, written Kannada is different. Okay, so some students will do, but you make a habit of this. So while trying to understand, you follow one method. While writing the notes, you follow one method. Okay, you have to look at the grammar also. By learning C++, don't kill the English language. Some students will write the answer, grammar will not be there at all in the sentence. Don't do like that. I know you people have understood, but writing sentence should be neat. Framing sentences should be neat. Okay. So this is nothing but the fractional form. Next, coming to the scientific notation, I hope you people got about fractional form. It's a simple floating point numbers where it contains integer part, decimal point, and fractional part. Now coming to the scientific notation, here also we have three parts. Okay. So I can say part 1, so part 2, then part 3, part 1, part 2, part 3. So for first part, what we will call it as, it is called as mantissa. Okay, first part is called as mantissa. Okay, see those who have written the notes, if you are keeping beside notes, just observe. So if little bit if I am writing wrong, you can tell. So first part is called as mantissa. Second part is called as E or E. We have to use either small letter E or capital letter E. Small letter E or capital letter E. Third part is called as exponent form. Third part is called as exponent form. Okay. Mantis are small letter E or capital letter E exponent form. So for this examples, if I want to give is right. First of all, we have to consider. We have to think what are these three things. See, Mantissa part means it can contain either integer or floating point number. It can contain either integer or floating point number of fractional form. See, don't get confused. Write the example so people will understand. It's not a complicated, simple. First part can contain integer or floating point number of fractional form. So how I can write here is I can write 5 or 5.25. Okay, 5 is an integer. 5.25 is the floating point number of fractional form. Floating point number of fractional form. Second part is you have to write small letter E or capital letter. Any one you can write. Small letter E or capital letter E. So here, see 5E or 5.25E. See this, I not written complete number. Still, it is there. Okay, some part by part I am writing. First part integer or floating point number. Whichever you want, you can write. The second part is either small letter E or capital letter E. Now coming to the third part, that is after E. Exponent form will always follow the E after E. So in case of exponent form, what happens? Always you have to write integer. So only integer in exponent form. Only integer in exponent form. You have to write only integer. That is 5e. You can write 5. 5e 5. 5.25e. Here you should not write 5.25. Understood? After E, whatever you are writing, that should contain only integer. Because, see, these numbers are nothing but like in mathematics we have come across already. 5e, 5 is nothing but 5 into 10 raised to 5. I hope you people are remembering. So it's very easy, right? 5 into 10 raised to 5. And this is 5.25 into 10 raised to. Power cannot be floating point number. So you cannot say 5.25 into 10 raised to 5.25. So only they have said not to include floating point number after E. It should be only integer. So this is correct. Okay, you should not write 5.25, 5.0, 5.99 like that. Only integer it should contain after E. So these type of numbers are called as scientific numbers or scientific notation numbers. And these are included in the second part of floating point number in computer science, that is in C++, in the second category of floating point constant. So any doubts?